We're back for round 2 of the Geekery's Wednesday Night Modern. We've got Daniel, Dan Man as he prefers to be called, on the left. Jared on your right. Dan is on Mono Red Phoenix. Jared is on Bant Spirits. Who do you like here, Wyatt?
In a matchup like this, the normal Is It Phoenix matchup, I believe, is quite even. I call it 50-50 almost, maybe like 45-55 in favor of Phoenix.
Sure.
But a matchup like this, I believe it's very favored in the Mono Red Phoenix players' favor.
Really? Why is that?
They just have aggressive burn. They're able to answer any threat because they run 12 lightning bolts.
Oh, sure.
And they're a bit lower to the ground. They don't have the consistency that the Is It Phoenix deck has, but they are a little bit faster at what they want to be doing, and they have a different late game plan, which is Bedlam Reveler.
So Dan, turn 1, discarding a Phoenix and a Skewer the Critics. Setting himself up. Mausoleum Wonder actually has text against this deck.
Yes, Mausoleum Wonder is a very good card in this matchup. Usually you're using it to counter Manamorphose or Faithless Looting or...
Countering Manamorphose isn't something I think players do enough.
It's a very powerful card.
Anytime you lose out of nowhere, it generally started with a Manamorphose, and you just didn't realize it.
Especially if you have something like a Pyromancer's Ascension or something like that.
Or a Phoenix in the graveyard, or just any number of things.
Because Manamorphose is just essentially a redraw.
Yeah.
Which is just right where you want to be in a matchup where you're trying to cast 3 spells in a turn.
So Jared seems to be fetching basics preferentially.
I think you just want to be doing that just so you don't die to random lightning bolts, skewer the critics.
Yeah, well, incidentally, it also keeps him out of Blood Moon.
Yes,
I don't think it's the main deck's Blood Moon.
Out the sideboard, I believe the mono red version runs Blood Moon.
Sure.
In the main, I'm pretty sure they do not. So here is a Selfless Spirit to protect the Mausoleum if he's worried about it dying, but not a huge situation here. For Daniel, it looks like he will take a chance to bolt it, and Jared will.
Don't counter that. Daniel did not pay, so.
So, we're just at a board stall right now. Nothing's really happened yet.
I'm pretty sure Dan's going to vomit a lot of cards in his hand here in a second.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. So here's a Lightning Bolt. He really needs another land, or I guess he could have Gut Shot, and then there's a Skewer, or Light Up the Stage, sorry.
There is a Light Up the Stage.
So here is the land, and then he also has a Manamorphose. If he has another spell here, he is able to get back to Phoenix. Let's see what he's able to do. So here's the Gut Shot.
Yeah.
Jared will sack it to make his creatures indestructible. And here comes a Phoenix for 3.
Yeah.
So Jared is down 2 creatures, both of which he had to sack himself.
He did sack both of his creatures. Dan technically has not killed them. It's a moral victory, but I think Dan is doing pretty well. Jared holding up, I believe, Spellcaller.
Spellcaller is very good in a situation like this, especially where Dan tries to go to cast Manamorphose.
Sure.
But it looks like just Dan doesn't even care necessarily.
Yeah, you got a Phoenix on board. Get your 3 in.
So here's the Manamorphose. I don't know if you actually Spellcaller here, because now he's because that card was exiled anyway. He was forced to cast it, which means he wasn't actually trying to do anything with it besides redraw.
Sure.
But now it's stored under the Spell Queller, and a Bolt is now able to trigger Manamorphose to net a mana.
Sure.
So like it kind of puts a weird situation, especially on a card like Manamorphose, that turns a Lightning Bolt into gain 2 mana draw card.
Yeah, it gives you 2 storm.
Like yes. Yeah. It is an odd situation to be in, and it looks like Jared is casting a Drog Skull Captain, so he is able to protect this Spell Queller.
Yeah.
Daniel does need 2 bolts or 2 skewers or 2 removal spells, 2 cards that do things. I don't know, but definitely a weird situation to be in. So he does have the bolt, so he'll be bolting there. He'll cast the Morphos, get 2 red mana, draw a card. And if he did end up finding a bolt or anything along that line, he could have killed the Drog Skull immediately, which would have been very powerful.
Yeah,
but it looks like he did not find anything.
Yeah.
Daniel does still have a Phoenix, though. So...
you like a Drog Skull block here?
I think it's a tough decision. Drog Skull is one of your more powerful cards because all of Daniel's spells are targeted removal.
Sure.
So it makes it real funky when you're trying to decide what you need to block and when you need to block, especially in a deck that runs 12 bolts, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I think your chances of winning, you want Drog Skull.
Sure. So you just take this go down to 6.
So you might just take this go down to 6. If he has a bolt, then you go down to 3. But then next turn you get to play hopefully a spirit or two that is just pumped because of the Drog Skull and big enough to block it, and hope they just never draw another threat or another spell. But it's real hard to like play with that.
Yeah, Daniel has a small number of cards in hand. It's unlikely that he's gonna. I mean, I don't know the deck. It's probably pretty likely that he's gonna recur that Arclight next turn, but a man can dream.
Yeah, Arclight is an interesting card because it has recursion, but it has a restriction on the recursion where you need a certain number of cards in hand to really do anything, especially in the mono red version, which doesn't have many cantripping abilities besides Manamorphose and Faithless Looting.
Sure.
But Faithless Looting doesn't net you cards, or stay even, I guess.
Yeah, it goes down a card.
Uh-huh. Which normally is fine, but it's harder to cantrip into your larger spells.
Jared picking up another land here. I feel like this is more lands than he ever wants to see.
So hopefully Jared here has a Spell Queller or a
Coco.
Collected Company.
Yeah.
Both of which allow for quite a bit of play. Looks like Daniel's just going to cast a Phoenix. And then... So there's a Coco.
Yep.
Let's
If
see
you could
what
spell
Jared
Color
finds.
this, that'd be nice.
Yeah. It's fine. I mean, like, it having haste and...
Oh boy. Those are not winners.
No. Is that a Bygone Bishop? It sure is. The super secret tech from Jared was a Bygone Bishop.
Bygone Bishop. To chump block. Or I guess to trade it with that Phoenix.
But do you know what that card does, Steven?
I don't.
Anytime you cast a creature with CMC 3 or less, you investigate.
Okay. That seems very good.
It's very cute at the very least.
Yeah, it draws you cards.
You have to pay 2 mana to crack the clue, and then it draws you cards.
Mausoleum Wanderer here for Jared.
That's not amazing in a situation like this where Daniel has excess mana to be paying.
Yeah, if he has a Past in Flames, it'll counter it.
It sure would. He could cast Past in Flames and pass the turn.
Yes, he could.
So let's see what Daniel's able to do here. He does have Lava, Lightning Bolt.
Looks like a Bedlam Reveler in hand.
Yeah, he has a couple good spells in hand right now.
Ooh, put Jared down to 1.
And then Bedlam Reveler.
Let's see what this has got.
Gosh, draw 3. Gut shot. Nope, doesn't look like he
No
drew a gut
such
shot.
luck.
Oh, wait,
he did draw a gut
Alright.
shot. And he gets the Phoenix's back. Well, just for the rub-ins, man.
Oh, man. And he had the Ramanop Ruins.
Yeah, he had this game a couple ways.
Alrighty, well, that's how game 1 went. It gets a bit better after sideboard, but we will see you in a minute.
We're back for game 2. We'll see what shenanigans our players have out of their sideboards for each other. I think Jared probably has...
Jared has 3 Rest in Pieces, some number of Rest in Pieces, and hopefully he brought in Rest in Peace.
You think that's the one he's looking for here, huh? Rest in Peace does a lot. It makes Bedlam Reveler not a card. It makes Arclight a
Not a
pretty damn
card.
flyer, yeah.
It makes most of Daniel's deck not cards.
Sure.
Like,
Mausoleum Wanderer out of Jared.
he has to go onto a burn plan, which isn't really where he wants to be.
Yeah, I don't feel like he brought Burn. He brought...
Arclight Phoenix.
Yep.
But Jared does just have Mausoleum into Rest in Peace,
Yeah.
the card he was looking for. This game might not be a game. We will find out in the coming soon.
Okay, sure. Depends what his hand... Oh, yeah, I can see a Bedlam Reveler and a Phoenix in his hand. So
I mean,
he's-
luckily he has cards like Faithless Looting to get rid of dead
Sure.
cards, because he needs 8 lands to cast a Bedlam Reveler, and 4 lands to cast a 3/2 flyer
Sure.
with haste.
Sure.
Most of what Daniel's doing now is not good. A lot of it is just spells that are really underwhelming.
Yep, overcost, underperforming spells. Does he have a way out of from under this Rest in Peace?
Mono red does not have a way out.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's a Drogsaw Captain.
So attacking for 3,
Attacking for 3, creatures have hexproof.
get +1/+1.
Yeah.
Like, this game's not looking great. Looks like,
It's a Rending Volley.
yeah, can't be countered by blue or white spells, or can't be countered, targets blue or white creatures.
Sure.
Very good sideboard tech for spirits.
Yeah.
Bant spirits in particular. A lot
Yes.
of blue and white spells in Bant.
There are a few. Jared being a stickler for where his graveyard is and is not. I feel like when Rest in Peace is in play, I just leave my graveyard where it is and call it my exile zone.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
No.
No, you make a new exile zone.
Yeah.
You're very polite to your clients.
So let's see what happens here. Daniel has 3 mana, 1 away from casting a bad 3/2 flyer with haste.
Yeah.
Also, his spells easily looks like he has 2 Phoenixes in hand.
Ooh, boy.
So 3/2 flyer into 3/2 flyer if he finds a land next turn.
Sure.
Seems like the play.
Another Lord out of Jared.
Lords are very powerful. They definitely allow for some of your more busted things. But just takes the 3, looks like. Let's see if he has a land into Phoenix. So end step lightning bolt.
It looks like an attack lightning bolt. Just take your 2.
Oh yeah. Okay. So land into Phoenix here.
Comes a Phoenix. Unbeatable.
Here's a 4 mana 3/2 with haste.
If Jared paths,
There's a path.
he's getting him closer to Bedlam Lover. He doesn't even know it.
It is in a deck that's running like 17 lands or 18 maybe.
Yeah.
It is not easy to get to 8 lands.
He's at 5.
He is at 5. Another 3 draws of lands, which I don't think is where you want to be. And he can cast a Bedlam Reveler.
Oh, hitting him with a gut shot in response to the Drog Skull Captain. That's very good.
So now the Mausoleum's dead.
Yep.
Jared probably sacked it to counter the spell, just to
For the
be
Rebels.
nice.
Yeah.
And then here is a Drog Skull, and looks like a Soulscar Mage was picked up. He has another Arclight Phoenix. Like,
I mean,
not a ton of action out of the mono red graveyard deck. Let's see what happens. Looks like he just passed this is the turn.
was there a reason? Does he have a Phoenix?
I believe he does. Maybe I miss.
Miss Saw.
Yeah.
3 cards in. One's a Bedlam Reveler. One is something else.
Yeah,
I'm
something
not
else.
sure about what these cards are.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to tell, but depending on what they are, could be some bad 3/2 flyers, could be some bad 8 mana 4/5 3/5s, 3/4s.
I think they're pretty good.
Jared is on 4/2 cards. He has Damping Sphere and another Drog Skull.
This is the end of targeted removal
yes.
for Dan.
So now all of Dan's removal has to go to face, and Jared has 2 3/3s. Luckily, Jared's last card is just a dead Damping Sphere,
Big Sphere, yeah.
which doesn't matter in this matchup anymore because you aren't really trying to stop them from casting 8 spells in a turn to recur Arclight Phoenixes.
No.
You're just trying to race with the clock,
Sure.
especially because the graveyard's not a factor anymore.
Yeah, a lot of Dan's speed comes out of his graveyard.
But yeah, so here is a Manamorphose to give Soulscar just a +1/+1 for prowess. He does find another land.
Yeah.
He is 2 lands away from hardcasting Bedlam
Telling you.
Revelers. So this card does have prowess now, or 1 trigger of prowess, I should say. And it looks like a Faithless Looting, which maybe you cast and
You gotta pick up more lands.
to cast
Faithless
your. I mean, you might just want to be cantripping a ton of spells together to make your Soulscar Mage much better.
Doubt it.
Just you're on the 8 mana plan.
so.
That's what you're on.
He's carding
There's
his
the
Bedlam
Bedlam
Reveler.
Reveler.
Okay, he gave up. He gave up.
Okay, and there's a land.
In a land.
So he
alright.
was 1 land away in 2 turns. He could have played it.
Sure.
I don't know if that was the play. So now you attack for 4. And here is a 3 mana skewer.
Yeah.
So you're taking 3/7 damage, it looks like.
Yeah.
So he's down to 10.
I mean, my Bedlam Lover line, he definitely just dies.
Yes.
So,
I mean, if Jared has a Lord here, or a Coco, I guess he just can end the game.
sure, there's a lot of ways that the game just ends. But, I mean,
Doesn't look like he does, so he's just probably going to get in for 6. Pass the turn, have lethal next turn with 2 things that can't be killed.
yep.
And Daniel needs... Ooh, Detention Sphere to get rid of the Soulscar Mage. Daniel needs
A lot.
a lot, like Manamorphose into Manamorphose,
right.
and it looks like that's going to do it.
Put all those in one.
Rest in Peace is definitely the crutch in this matchup.
It is. It is. The axis upon which it is fought. Here we are for game 3. Looks like both players have taken a mulligan down to 6. Jared keeping his on top. Dan agonizing over his a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough call, especially in a deck like this where you don't need lands necessarily, but you do need a critical mass of cards to be able to get back Arclight Phoenixes and
Sure.
things along those lines. So here's Noble Hierarch. Jared opting not to play his mana for it.
Show of strength.
So here's a land out of Dan. He's probably gonna
I like the bolt.
Soulscar, Bolt, pass. Do you Bolt Noble here?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you think not?
I can see an argument for not to.
Sure.
But he does opt to, and then he goes Soulscar Mage. So now he does have 2 prowess creatures. So if he just goes spell next turn, it's a lot of damage coming in.
Sure.
Especially if he does something like Faithless Looting, pitch 2 Arclights, Bolt, or Manamorphose, Faithless, Bolt. That's 9, 12 damage. It's like, there's a lot Dan can do here to just kind of end the game immediately.
Sure.
But we'll see what he has. Like, maybe he just has nothing with these 2 cards in hand. He doesn't have, like, a ton of cards, which makes it a bit rough.
Doesn't appear to have much.
So he just
takes
attacks
two.
for 2. And then just another Soulscar Mage.
Sure.
I mean, if he's really able to draw spells, it's looking great. But
Sure.
if you're not able to really find anything, then it's going to be a tough game. So looks like Jared's going to cast a Phantasmal, copying probably Mausoleum Wanderer. Oh no, looks like he's going to copy Soulscar. A lot of Wither on the board right now.
This is a play I am unsure about. I feel like you're in a bad spot if you're copying your opponent's Soulscar Mage.
I mean, if Dan doesn't have a spell, it's able to block one of the opponent's creatures. Sure. I mean, like, I don't know if that's what you really want to be doing.
I mean, Jared's played the matchup well. He probably just knows how to not die. I think there is some merit to just trying not to lose the game immediately.
So here's a Skewer, just killing the copy.
Of the Soulscar Mage,
Yeah.
getting in for 6.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, boy.
like, all like just 3 prowess creatures against Jared's 2 lands Mausoleum Wanderer is rough.
So it turns out killing that Noble Hierarch was huge.
Yes, it actually really changed the game completely. Here's a Lava Spike, and then swing for 6. Yeah, I mean, Jared's forced to chump here.
Go to 2.
Go to 2, and then you have to have spell. Oh,
all right.
okay. So here's a Deputy. The problem is Lightning Bolt does just kill him.
Yeah.
Lava Spike kills him.
Most cards
Skewer
kill
the
him,
Critics
sure.
kill him.
Yeah.
Arclight Phoenix kills him.
Fuck. Gut shot. All right. So now
So the prowess
yeah,
triggers,
yeah.
and then get back to 2 Soul Scars.
Oof.
And gosh, let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Well, we have another Deputy out of Jared. So Jared is not dead unless Daniel draws most burn spells in his deck.
Most of the cards in this game. I mean, Arclight wins. Just
Just
yeah.
to pass the turn.
Yeah.
This is slowly turning for Jared.
Do you think Jared wins this game?
He really needs Daniel to draw no threat.
Sure.
And considering Jared just passed, he probably has a Coco this turn with 4
Yeah.
mana up. So it's looking worse and worse. So here's an Arclight. So that might just be able to close the game if Jared whiffs on a Coco. Maybe he has a Spell Queller as well.
Oh,
he
he's
has a
got
Path
the
to Exile. Okay. So the game's not quite over. Dan is on 6 lands. Hardcasting Bedlam Mufflers might be a plan
Sure.
again.
Oh, he also has a graveyard this game, so he doesn't even need that. So Jared has managed to not die, but I do not know if he can get enough draw steps to ever win the game.
He definitely needs. I mean, if he's holding up Spell Queller, that buys him a turn.
Sure.
He can attack here for 2.
It looks like he does have a
opts not
Squeller.
to.
A spell Queller.
So like, Jared has outs, but they're not great ones.
Yeah.
It's really tough to like decide what he needs to be doing here.
If Dan ever draws spells, which he presumably will not, but if he does, he can just sandbag him to the point where Jared would have to have 2 spell Quellers, or at least the mana for 2 spell Quellers. It's an uphill battle from here.
Coco is a huge thing, but like that's not really going to do it. You really want to be living up 3 mana.
Mm-hmm.
Jared has to hope he never draws Horizon Canopy. Like,
Yeah.
so here is a Selfless Spirit to protect the Deputy to give it indestructible. He'll attack for 2. Daniel will just
3.
take it. 2.
Is
It's
it
a
a
1/3.
Oh, excuse me.
So here's a Faithless Looting.
Sure.
It's a pretty good draw right now. Finds.
I mean, he's got a bolt.
all
in his
3 of
hand.
those are burn spells.
Yeah.
So
Jared is about to fall out of his chair.
Daniel's able to attack, bolt, get the trigger. He can block with Spell Queller. Then, like, I guess there's no profitable attacks.
Sure.
But let's see what happens here. Discards. Looks like Gut Shot and Skewer the Critics, I believe I saw. I think you want Lightning Bolt or Skewer.
So a huge amount of burn just has to go to the graveyard here because he can't.
Cast it.
That's too bad.
And you probably still hold off a turn.
You think you make Jared have it?
I mean, your Swift Spear is all 2/3. If you have another spell, you force him to chump and lose something.
Sure.
So he's just gonna opt to block, sack it, give everything destructible. Tough decision. Like,
With the sack on the stack, I am attracted to shooting down the detention sphere. I mean, just you get blown out.
but
by
then the Spell Queller still
Yeah,
stops it. And
yeah.
like, I think you just attack, force him to block, pass the turn, and next turn if you draw a relevant spell. Here's a Horizon Canopy.
right off the top, right on
So
schedule.
you do have to be careful about that one. He's able to use it once for mana and then never again, but that does put him in gut shot range.
He can cycle it though.
Yeah, that's probably what you
I
just
think
do.
you immediately just cycle that.
You might keep it if you have 2 spell colors in hand,
Sure. I guess casting a second spell color is better than dying.
because if you just go spell color their spell, spell color their spell, you're at 1 life. They have a 3/4. Throw the noble in front of it. Like, you're not just dead here, which is huge. Looks like Daniel's gonna flash back the looting.
Sure.
He'll get the prowess trigger. He'll draw 2. There's 2 burn spells, so let's see what he does.
It was like one of them was rending volley, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I know I saw a skewer, which he just decided
Oh, you're
to
right. No, I
discard.
was mistaken.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Skewer's a little rough to cast right now. Really have to be careful about what you do. So
Oh, no,
here
there
is a
was a
rending
rending
volley. You
volley,
are
yeah.
correct. So let's see what Jared decides to do here. I think it's tough to decide to spell queller this because it's such like a weird spot to be in.
Yeah.
Because if you spell queller this, and his last card's a burn spell, and you don't have second spell queller, you are just gonna die. But like, yeah, because there's a lightning bolt, and then does Jared have a second spell queller? So in response to this, he's gonna spell. So
He has another spell color. I can see it.
Okay, so he's gonna go to 1, cast spell queller. The Swift Spear is a 3/4, which is important right now.
Sure. So he's gonna have to throw away something to block it.
Yes, and all 3 of those spells under those creatures are very
boy.
important.
I feel like the detention sphere is the only one you can afford to. I think you lose the game immediately if any of the other ones die.
Yeah, because they all just cascade down.
Yeah, the rending volley kills the one that has the bolt. The bolt kills you.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Take your 1/2s.
So, I mean, Jared's in a rough spot again.
He
He's a
is.
Coco. Is that a Coco?
I don't know.
Game for life.
Oh, game for life. Alrighty.
Give him a little breathing room.
And then there's a Drog Skull.
And a Drog Skull Captain.
Alrighty, so this game isn't just over. Daniel needs like a Bedlam Reveler into 3 burn spells, which is very possible.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable for that to happen.
Let's see what he drew. He probably casts whatever he draws, or it's uncastable, or it's land. And he probably just hold lands to Faithless Looting.
Yeah.
Unless you're on your plan of hard casting Bedlam
I don't
Reveler.
think you have to be because you don't have rest in peace here.
So it looks like he just passed. Jared's gonna crack this. Horizon Canopy, draw a card. Find a tapped land.
Just like a botanical sanctum. Botanical
Ooh,
sanctum. Another
Supreme
lord.
Phantom. This is definitely swapped in Jared's favor somehow.
Yeah.
He still has to be very careful about how he attacks.
Sure.
There's not a ton of attacks that are safe to make.
Phone is ringing. So Jared's got an interesting decision about whether or not he attacks here, or what he attacks with. Looks like it's going to be the Drog Skull.
That's an interesting one.
Just the Drug
It's the
Skull.
one that's not getting lorded. I can see attacking with Spell Queller because it's a 4/5.
Be a 5/6 with his belted.
I guess the Exalt trigger.
Yeah. Essentially, you just want to be able to kill him next turn, guaranteed.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think this
fair.
attack accomplishes that.
So Daniel has to have Bedlam Reveler basically.
And yeah, into a bunch of things.
Because like Bedlam Reveler into Answer, or even Manamorphose Prowess trigger, Faithless Looting, Prowess trigger, find 1 bolt, flashback faithless looting, like some like plethora of cards that are kind of tricky to have.
It's quite like, well, it looks like he has something in hand because he's thinking about it.
Doesn't look like he has a faithless looting in his graveyard.
He was so close to winning this game.
He was one card away.
Yeah.
For the most part. So here's a lava spike. Put him to 1.
Oof.
But that isn't gonna be enough because these are 2/3s, which means everything just blocks it profitably.
Yeah.
Like, and if his last card isn't a spell, it's more or less going to be game over. But I mean, if he's able to cast anything, it gets better and better with each spell he's cast. But it looks like that's going to be it. Jared does take this game. Very close, very surprising win, especially from Jared.
Yeah.
Played it very well. Daniel happened to draw 4 too many lands, but
Yeah, he
it
did.
is how the game goes sometimes.
All right, I'll see you next time.